G'day everyone, Connor here from CW's Tech Reviews, and today we're back with my review of the Moto Z. Now I've been using this device for 4 weeks as my daily driver, and I'm going to give you my most honest opinion I can of the device. So let's get stuck into it, and I hope you find the information useful. Let's have a crack. Now, to start off with, we've got the specs. I'm not going to go right through them all, but basically you've got a Snapdragon 820, Adreno 530, 64 gig of onboard storage, 4 gigs of RAM, 5.5 inch AMOLED screen, 535 for the PPI, active noise cancellation mics, and USB Type-C doubles as a headphone jack. And you've also got a 2600 mAh battery, 13 megapixel rear camera, and a 5 megapixel front facing camera. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the design. Now, this thing is hard to get used to. It's a great device, it feels okay after a little while, but I'm coming from a Galaxy S7 with the glass back, the rounded sides on the back, not flush but almost flush camera, and then I pick up the Moto Z. It's thinner than anything, it's got sharp edges, it's got a camera hump that's made me nickname this phone the Camel, so it is very difficult to get used to. However, once I slapped that Moto Mod style on the back, it did get a bit better form factor and was more comfortable to hold and a bit more of a pleasure to have to handle on a day-to-day basis. And I will admit that using this, I just felt like if I dropped it, it was gone forever, and I was extremely paranoid just because it's so thin. It took me a while to get used to. Now, it is made of aircraft grade aluminium. It's got Gorilla Glass 4 on the front and at the top and the bottom of the back of the device. But yeah, it is quite unnatural to hold at first just due to that thinness and the sharp edges. Now, it's got a total of 4 sensors on it, on the front and the back. It's got front firing speakers at the top. It sound a little tinny, but it is always better than having a speaker at the bottom or at the back of your phone. So I was quite happy with it, even though it sounds a little bit tinny. The fingerprint scanner on the front, I find it fantastic. It doesn't matter which way I'm holding the device, whether it's my fingers upside down or sideways, it works every time for me. Now, like I said, on the back, you've got that 13 megapixel shooter, f1.8 aperture, laser autofocus, OIS, dual LED, dual tone flash. Now, they do say that the device comes with some sort of water resistance. It's got a nano coating or some rubbish, but that's good for fog, and that's about it. So I wouldn't say it's waterproof. I wouldn't let water get anywhere near this. And on the right hand side, you got the volume and the power buttons. The bottom, USB Type-C, which is awesome for charging. This phone charges so quickly. I couldn't be happier with the charging. No headphone jack. However, these days no one's got headphone jacks, or it seems that's the way we're going. Bluetooth NFC pairing as well. Now, moving on to the software, it comes out of the box with 6.0.1 Android. Expected upgrade to Nougat soon. I'm not sure when, but it's coming in the weeks or months ahead, so we will get that. But the software itself is very snappy and responsive. However, I've had a couple of times where it does lag. I go to click on something and it just sort of lags for a second or two. It's not very often, maybe once every 3 days or something like that it happens. However, it is there. But scrolling through apps, jumping from app to app, it seems to transition very smoothly and there's hardly any lag. But I will point out the RAM management. Once you get to 10 apps or so in the background, it starts to kick them out by itself. Now, I've got other devices that doesn't do that. Yes, they have to reload, but they're still in your recent apps history. The Moto Z seems to just boot them out. It's like, that's it, we've hit our limit, you're out, gone. So that's something that I noticed. I was doing a bit of a RAM management comparison, or opening up apps at the same time. I'll link a video here about it, but I definitely noticed that it does boot out the apps quickly. Now, the Moto software, as light as it is there, and it is fun to use. So you've got your Moto Voice, your Moto Actions, that sort of thing. I do use Moto Voice an awful lot. I've got mine programmed. I ask it things all the time. My kids enjoy it too. They're always telling me, Dad, ask your phone this, Dad, ask your phone that. And we're finding out lots of useless information. But I do find it handy, especially for when I'm driving. I just tell it to do something and it seems to get it right most of the time. When it doesn't get it right, as usual, with all this voice activation of our phones these days, it's so frustrating, tremendously frustrating. But it gets it right a lot of the time, which is pretty cool. Sometimes I've noticed that it will talk back to me, and other times it will just spit the information I've asked for back up on the screen. So I'm confused as to why that happens. Sometimes it'll read it out to me, other times it just opens it up on a web page or through the messaging app. Moto gestures, they're fun, they're reliable. I wave my hand over my device and it shows me what notifications have come through. The double chop for the flashlight and double twist for the camera. I find myself using double twist for the camera a lot. At first I felt like a bit of a spazzo trying to get it to work, but I've learnt now to get that double twist happening really quickly. Pulling my phone out of my pocket, double twisting, and bang, the camera's open by the time I'm ready to take the photo. So that's fun. You've got that Moto software on top, which is very minimal, but it adds I think it adds functionality to the device. Definitely worth having those little bit extra features in there. Now, look, we're going to move on to the camera, and this is probably my biggest beef with this device. Now, it says a lot of great things on the specs about the camera, and I open the camera up quite often. I've taken a lot of photos with it. Now, the quality in the right lighting is fantastic. However, if you haven't got the right lighting, it can spit out some pretty dud looking photos. So low light is horrendous, and here's a couple of examples of that. Everything's grainy, nothing's really looking good at all. Not the sort of thing I'm going to want to be showing people, hey, look at the photos my phone takes. Now, these couple of photos were taken in fairly decent light, not even that low, so I was really disappointed with that. And sometimes if it's too bright outside, the lighter colours are blown right out, especially the sky and the clouds. They all sort of merge into one just bright light. So that's something that I wasn't too happy with. However, you can open it. Does have Pro Mode. You can open that and play with it. But, with phones, you just want to rip it out of your pocket. You want to take a great looking photo and you want to get on with it. So, this is sort of one of those things about this phone where you just think, oh, this is amazing. I'm loving this phone. It's different. It's unique. And then you take out the camera and it's crap. Sorry, Motorola, but the camera is crap. Now, I mentioned the battery earlier, and this has been one of the most surprising, in a good way, one of the most surprising elements of this phone. It's a 2600 milliamp hour battery. It's not going to last all day if you're a really, really heavy user. However, in the last 4 weeks, this has been my daily driver, and I regularly get 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. My Galaxy S7 gets that, and it's got a bigger battery, so I haven't had really many problems. If I do need to connect my phone to a charger throughout the day, within 15 minutes, I'm literally way back up there around the 70, 80, 90% mark, depending on how much I've used, and I'm really happy with that. I mean, it's just super fast. I think they call it Quick Charge 30 or Turbo Charge 30 or something like that. Whack it on charge, it's done. 30 minutes, you're full, you're off on your way again. Now, I think I'm a medium to heavy user. So if you're just an average user, you're definitely going to get a full day's worth. That's quite surprising with that 2600 milliamp hour battery, and the dose for this worked a treat. I mean, I left it off charge one night, forgot to plug it in. I got up in the morning and it dropped about 2% over 8 hours. So again, the battery was just outstanding. We need to make more phones like this. Phones that charge quicker than you can blink, and the battery is optimized, the apps are optimized to last as long as possible, because this is, I think, one of the areas where Motorola is ahead. Now, moving on to the Moto mods. If you want to talk about the battery, moving on to the Moto mods, you can get the Moto mod battery pack. At the time of doing this, they weren't available in Australia, so I haven't got them. I can't speak for them, but they look great, and I hope to give them a crack soon. The Moto Mod style case is the only one that comes in the box. That adds a bit of style to the phone, like it's meant to. But for me to get all those extra mods is an extra $1,300 in Australia. Even when they come out, I'm probably only going to buy one of them. I'm not going to spend $1,300 on some mods, some adapters to make my phone better. You know, if I'm going to spend $1,300, it's going to be on other accessories. For the Moto mods, they really, I think they've missed the mark. Maybe if you've got money to burn and you're a mega tech head and you can run out and spend $1,300 on the mods, you will. But your average Joe doesn't. I think they've forgotten that your average Joe gets a phone every 2 years. So an extra $1,300 on top of that to be able to zoom in on a photo, or keep your battery charged for longer, or project something onto the ceiling. I mean, they're all cool, but it's way overpriced. And that's my opinion. If you disagree, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk to people about that. For me, overpriced. Maybe I'll get one, maybe I'll get none. But at this stage, they haven't been released yet. This brings me to my final thoughts on the Moto Z. It comes close to hitting the mark in so many ways, yet it just doesn't quite hit it. Most of the areas I've discussed, the Moto Z, it just quite misses. The camera doesn't hit the mark. The design, it just doesn't quite hit the mark. Like I said, it's quite sharp in the hands, that sort of thing. Overall, it's a great phone, but it just misses the mark. It's also a phone that people look at and think, what the hell is that? And I've had that comment come many a times from people in the office. They're like, what is that? I'm like, it's a Motorola. They go, do they still make phones? What the hell? And they're looking at it and they're trying to work out what it is. And I think for the price of the Moto Z, I think it's pretty hefty. You think what you get these days, you get phones that are waterproof. You get cameras that are unbelievable. There's almost no point in buying anything than a smartphone for your camera. That's the quality that we're getting in some devices. So the strong point would be the battery and the software. Apart from that, it's sort of just not quite hitting it for the price. If you're going to put $1,000 price tag on a phone, again, Aussie price, $1,000, you want that to be a top of the range phone. You don't want something that just doesn't quite hit the mark. So this is my review, guys. Maybe going to upset some of you Motorola fans out there. Maybe not. Maybe you agree with me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I love the fact that you're watching my videos. People are subscribing. Let me know what videos you want to see in the future. And don't miss the next one. Check ya.